Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Global Comic Safari. I'm Jon Z, and with me, as always, is Matt Roybal. Welcome, guys. We're looking forward to having another good episode with you. This week, we're going to talk about the Punisher Limited series, so should be a good one. Fun covers, lots of versions, lots of cool stuff. Just want to thank a couple friends of the program first. First, comicbookinvest.com, CBSI. Lots of free comic content. They're doing a lot of, I know you're not getting new books this week and not getting a lot of fix. Go back and do some old research. They've got lots of great articles covering anything from checklist to reading list to trade paperback list. They're doing a lot of top 50 golden age type things and just lots of deep dive topics. So keep your comic fix going with comicbookinvest.com.
For free. I like free.
Free info is always good. Didn't have a book I chose to feature this week, but just always keep our friends at Paralel Evren Parallel Universe in Turkey out there. You ever need anything from Turkey, hit him up. Good dude. Always helping out the show with info and cool stuff.
Amazing books, too. Amazing freaking books.
Yeah, I was talking to him the other day, and those artists, I didn't realize they were doing some U.S. stuff, the Cinar and Cinar, but they've done some outstanding stuff in the Turkish market since they both are Turkish. So yeah, amazing stuff.
Those guys are the real deal.
There's a nice spider going on my feature next week that I couldn't get a good enough image to share. So maybe next time I'll do it. But we did want to kind of cycle back to a topic from our pickup show that we didn't have good info on. So let's pull that up. We were talking about this Batman e-ball run that I got a few books from, and there were some photo covers, and we determined some of them were from the original serial. From the
40s or 50s, I think.
Yeah, so there were images from there, which is cool. And then we had this weird one that showed them hanging from a balcony. And definitely not the traditional suit. Lots of kind of alterations. And who was it that dug this information?
Victor. Our buddy Victor in Brazil. He researched it. And lo and behold, those are acrobats that E-Ball hired to do this photo shoot. And if you look on, if you zoom in on the picture, you'll see Editorial Brazil. It's basically the front office of E-Ball right there where they're hanging out, where Batman and Robin are hanging out with those kids. So they must have just done a big old photo shoot. And now we know. So we know this is a photo cover that is strictly only Brazilian. That's what that.
And it was basically, I guess, a plan set up. Just, they thought, let's come up with something wacky. And they did it, man.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love shit like this.
It's kind of like the old Marvel stuff where they're like, I can't remember, the Black Rider, where Stan Lee is the Black Rider. They're modeling for their own stuff. And there's books where other guys in the bullpen are the actual folks on the cover. So that's just kind of a fun throwback to those days.
Oh, yeah. And it's how the publisher handled the license and thought of different and unique ways of showing Batman and Robin. And I bet you they had a blast that day. I'm hoping that they had underneath Robin
some kind of
netting or something. Because I don't know about you, John, but even if I was a acrobat being held with, because Batman's only holding him with one hand, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty intense feat of strength.
Yeah, I would be a little concerned.
Yeah,
I'm sure they were safe.
Yeah, sure. 60s Brazil. I'm sure there were nets and wires and everything. Maybe there was a pillow down there to catch him if he fell.
Or a group of guys to break his fall.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. Thank you to Victor for helping us find that information out.
I owe Victor a scan of this one he requested, so I got to do that for him because he said he wanted a better picture. So
yeah, definitely.
on with the show. We promised you Punisher. We've only given you Batman so far, so here is the man you came to see.
Yep, that's the set. But before we get to that, I want to do the thank yous real quick. Like we say all the time, we can't do this show without the community. We need help gauging and massaging the data and figuring out the different stuff. I want to thank Nadim, Bjorn, and finally Cecilio for his help, for their help with this set.
Yeah, so it's a pretty diverse set all over the place.
Yeah, it's all over the place. So we knew we were going to need some help. Nadim, Bjorn, and Cecilio helped us, and thank you guys for that for sure.
Absolutely. There's a lot of info on that thread, and we only chose some of it, or we'd be talking for 3 hours.
Yeah, we had to figure out which data to leave and which data to keep, but. Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful set. Look at the variation in there.
Yeah, you got different sizes, different colors. You got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, different formats, different. I mean, yeah, I love this set. This is a set that I build, so I'm pretty intimate with it.
And we stuck to the cover because there were a lot of things off cover and omnibuses, and we decided that we didn't want to go down all those rabbit holes. So
not with this set. There's more than enough that use cover to fill up our 30 minutes for sure.
All right, so. Hop into the good old traditional US of A. Punisher 1. I actually stole this off the Marvel site. I just realized I didn't actually have the issue. I stole a theory of the issue because it was clean. But it started out as a limited series, issue 1 of 4. They actually ended up running 5 issues. Published in January of '96. It's a Mike Zeck cover. Beautiful work.
Or 86.
What did I say?
It said 96.
Oh, sorry, 86. Yeah, 96. Woo. So yeah, it kind of got changed in the middle, added some story to it. So that's awesome. This was kind of the first kind of Punisher really out on his own, becoming his own thing. We had kind of heard, and we couldn't confirm it. This was the first time that Frank Castle was used as his name.
Yeah.
But don't quote us there.
Yeah, we're not sure, but we think that maybe this issue was the first time his name of Frank Castle gets used. Now, John and I searched high and low to just confirm it, and we couldn't confirm or deny it. So I don't know.
So it does have a newsstand and a direct edition. This is neither. This is the cleaned up cover that I don't know where it must have sold off the Marvel database somewhere. You get to see the art a little better, so that's nice.
Yeah.
And then, in addition to the newsstand and the direct, well, actually, hold on. There are 2,400 plus graded examples, 426 9/8. So
wow,
a good number, not a crazy number, but a good number.
Yeah.
$300 roughly for a 9/8. You can get yourself a decent copy around $40. Not near mint, but you get yourself a nice, very fine type book for $40, $30-$40.
Yeah, it's still a very affordable book, and for the nitty gritty anti-hero 80s, this book is sort of like, I don't know, man. You just gotta kind of have one for your collection.
Yeah, absolutely.
People chase it. They grade chase this book. I have a 9.6. I'm happy with it. I don't need the 9.8.
The 9.6 was around $100, $125. So I mean, it's a good price point to get in. You're not.
Yeah, totally. And it's a beautiful. I mean, in 9.6, it's nice and clean and beautiful.
Yeah.
And I remember growing up, the Zeck poster for this issue was in one of my comic shops, and I used to just bow down to it because I just loved the art so much.
You just wanted it on your wall.
I wanted it. And when I remember the first time in the 80s when I finally saved up enough money to pick one up, I loved it. I really loved this issue. It was a big key issue for me growing up.
So in addition to the newsstand and the direct, there's also our friends to the north had a Canadian price. I stole a graded one because I couldn't find a real clean copy of this anywhere. So it's printed same date, same range, just has a $1.50 price instead of the $1.25 US version.
Yep.
So this one will fetch you a bit of a premium. I think I saw one sell about, God, I saw $600 on one. I can't remember the grade.
Oh yeah, those Canadian price variants are
Yeah,
pricey.
it was not a 9.8, but it was a decent copy. So.
They are pricey, and I think I know why. And it really has to deal with the rarity in the print runs. According to my research, all the comics published in the 80s, between 70 and 80% were the direct sales type. So those types were sold at comic stores or subscription. About 20 to 30% were printed for the newsstands on the American market. So a newsstand American is going to be much rarer than the direct. But this is what the interesting thing on this is: if you factor in that California alone has more people in it than live in Canada, I mean, according to my research, there are some people that think that the Canadian price variant could be as small as maybe 2 to 3% the print run of the actual direct copy. I mean, we're talking tiny percentages.
Yeah, it's difficult to find those. I mean, they pop up. Certain books I look for. I don't look for this particular one. I'm not doing this set, but there's a few that I've hunted down, and they jump in price because they're tough.
Yeah, definitely. They're hard. Sorry, my little ghosty is with us today.
He loves the Punisher too.
Yeah, he's a big fan of anti-heroes. How goes?
So let's hop into the actual kind of international version.
Yep.
To the Netherlands.
Der Punisher, issue 6. This was published by Junior Press in 1988. I do not know the month, but that's basically
about 2 years.
2 years after. It's got. Go ahead.
Pretty traditional looking cover. I mean, they tweaked it a little bit, mostly just the writing and the or the namature, but they left the color pretty much intact.
They left the cover pretty much intact. I do believe that our price box or Punisher icon did change compared to the American. It's different. Also, of course, the JP, you see that on a lot of the Junior Press books in the lower left. But as far as the design of it, it's pretty dang close to the American original. This book contains the limited issues 2, 3, 4, and 5. But according to the Dutch database that I looked at, which is called Katawiki, there was no issue 1. I don't know whether to trust that or think that someone screwed up.
That feels bizarre.
It's bizarre, and I don't have, because we're trying to buy a house, I don't have my book with me to be able to confirm it. They're all in storage, but I double checked it a couple times, and I could not find that first issue of the Circle of Blood story in Dutch anywhere. So I don't know. I don't know if they just started with
a later date on this one.
Yeah, we'll have to follow up on that, because it just seems weird to only print issues 2, 3, 4, and 5 and not a issue 1.
Well, they thought it was 4 issues, and they just chose the wrong 4 issues.
Maybe so. I don't know.
We advertised it wrong, and they just went with it.
Yeah, I don't know why that happened, but the Dutch issue is pretty easy to get. It's not going to, the thing with the Dutch books, the Junior Press books, is that they can be hit or miss, hot and cold. There'll be a bunch that'll show up on the market, and then they'll dry out for a little bit, and then a bunch more will come. If you're building this set, this will definitely be one of the easier ones. You just gotta stalk Katawiki. Katawiki is it's also, not only is it a Dutch database, but it's also an auction site. So people list comic books for sale on there, and you can find it. You're just gonna have to wait, a little bit, but you'll find one. But it's a very cool book, very thick. It's got plenty of stories in there, so it's more like a TPB. But I like this one.
All right, so we're gonna jump on to Norway. This one is wild.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite of one of my favorites of the set. This is the Norway X9 Special #1. It was published in 1990. It was published by CMYK, and the interiors are black and white throughout. Now, this issue crops the classic Zeck artwork from the right. So we miss a whole image of one of his guns. And the reason they cropped that classic artwork was so that you could get Aksa, a real showstopper. They wanted her to share the cover with Frank. And she is topless, basically.
Yeah. My son, when I was making slides, was like, huh. That's new.
She's got a nice rack. So in this book, the interiors contain the classic Punisher Limited 1 story. It has a Cobra story, a Judge Dredd story, a Piazawa story, which I don't know what that is, and an Aksa story called The Mountain People. And it also has a Xenozoic Tales #6 in there.
It's got like a whole bunch of everything.
So it's got a nice little mix of stuff. So let's talk about that Aksa story and who Aksa is. Aksa is a kind of Red Sonja type of heroine created by an artist by the name of Enrique Badia Romero. And this is, so I went right to Wikipedia to grab this. This is a Wikipedia synopsis of who Aksa is. Opening on a post-apocalyptic Earth in the year 2080, Aksa is a woman who, having grown sick of the regimented and stifling society inside a domed city, flees into the untamed wilderness. The strip mixed elements of science fiction and sword-swinging barbarian tales. However, it is arguable that the strip's main draw were the frequent depictions of the full-figured Aksa's tendency to wind up topless or fully nude, as rendered by good girl artist Romero. So she's got a bad habit of being topless during her travels. And I sort of dig it. Now, this is the trend. So here's an excerpt from the translated story that is within this X9 Special. Aksa leaves heaven. Together with some bird people, they find a lush valley where humans live as farmers did before the Great Destruction. I'm guessing the Great Destruction would be some apocalyptic event. The farmers supply food to the mountain people known as the craftsmen. Here, Aksa meets the robot Mark again. Birdman Galen has followed Aksa in the distance. So this is interesting. After a brief romance with the twins George and George, she travels with Mark somewhere. So I think she had a threesome with those twins.
Huh. She's a busy girl.
Aksa is something else. And, you know, it sucks that they cropped the artwork, but I love this issue, John.
This is one of those. Add a little crazy to some Marvel. This is there. This is Marvel circa '96 almost. You know.
Yeah, this is still Marvel not giving a shit about their properties. No. Something like this would never fly today. No. Showing a Marvel property with a half nude woman. This just shows that in the foreign comic collecting world, there are skeletons in these publishers' closets. And guess who's digging up all those old bodies? It's us, John.
Hey, we're finding everything, which God knows what we're going to find next, you know?
That's what makes this part of the hobby so much fun, is just the weird and funky ways shit got mixed up, you know?
Absolutely. So back to our friend Frank. We'll say goodbye to Aksa. I'll miss her.
Later, Aksa.
We're going to
Norway
a second
again.
edition of Norway. I almost forgot. I guess they decided to. They really did like the cover, and they wanted to actually show it.
They wanted to actually show it. Okay, so this is the second Norwegian. This is Punisher #4, published by Blad Compliment AS in 1995. The interiors are black and white, but this book does contain all 5 issues of the limited series. So it's perfect bound. So it's just like a trade paperback. And I like this one because it adds kind of a few modern touches to the trade dress of the punny one. It modernized the title, and it gave us kind of a very cool flat punny skull. I think that adds to the coolness. You know, the flat punny skull, we started to see that more in in the War Journal and
Yeah.
The early Unlimited Volume 2 punny issues. But I like it. I like it with the updated title and the cool skull. I think they did a pretty good job with this one.
Yeah. It's a nice book. You should, if you're going to get one, you should get them both, right?
Yeah, and this one's going to be real easy to find. It was printed in 1995. Just got to go to the Norwegian auction site. I forget it right off the top of my head, but ask some of the guys in the group and you'll figure it out. But yeah, you can find this one.
Right.
But it's awesome. It's a nice one.
Yeah, it's pretty. All right. So this one, Finland, is a little more chopped up. The title's a little jarring how they've done it. They've kind of got that just cut the image off other than the gun blast and then add some logos.
Yeah, this is the Finnish Marvel, and I don't know how to say this. Tumari, maybe? I have no idea how to say that. This is the Marvel Tumari #6. It was published in 1989 by Cinar. It's got full color interiors. This issue contains 1 and 2 of the Punisher Limited series. But interestingly enough, the publisher cut page 31 from the original Punny story to make room for a letters page for a total of 64 pages. So this book is another one that's kind of more of a trade paperback. It's almost identical to the Swedish edition. The exception is that the Finnish edition uses the back cover for another letters page for a total of 2 letters pages.
Interesting.
And when we get to the Sweden, you'll notice it's got similar trade dress too. This one's kind of, I think, in a weird way, kind of simplified. So you have your Marvel up there, you have your banner. There's not a whole lot of stuff cluttering this one up. So for me, I kind of feel like this one's clean. This style is clean.
I just don't love it. I don't know why. It's just the color differentials is just jarring.
Yeah, the purple might be bothering you for sure.
All right, so we're going to jump off of this one and see if there's something we like a little more down the line. And we're going to go to Brazil.
Super. Wait, go ahead.
This one I really like. So
yeah, this one's cool. Super Aventuras Marvel #75, published by Abril in September of 1988. So 2 years, about 2 years. This book is full color and it's digest size like most Abril books. So Abril, I can't ever say I've seen a large Abril published book. I think they were all digest size. And the interiors are Alpha Flight 24, 25, and it's got Punisher #2, Volume 2. So it's got a classic story, but there's no keenness to that. And these books are pretty easy to find with a little patience. You can even find a higher grade one if you just wait a little bit. We've got tons of Brazilian members on the group now that would probably be very willing to help any set builders find this issue. And, the Abrils, they can be found, and you probably will find a nice higher grade one. You'll have to wait a little bit, but this is definitely one of the easier books of the set. And I like what they did, how they did the title on the top. It's cool.
Yeah, and it's almost just grittier than the original.
Yeah, it's a little
toned down and just looks a little
down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
actually definitely looks really good. Makes it feel like we're just going a little darker.
Yeah, I like this one too. And I love the little digest size. I love when formats get changed and stuff changes. This was a cool one.
Yeah, absolutely. I like this one. I'm keeping my eye out next time I'm shopping in Brazil for other books.
Yeah, this would be a cool one to have. I have one. I love it.
Mexico.
Okay.
This one surprised me when you sent it to me. So
yeah, this one is an interesting one. Okay, so this is Mexican. This is Punisher 1, published by Grupo Editorial Vid in August of 1992. This book is digest sized and it contains issue 1 of the Punny Limited series. Full color interiors, and a kind of weird little change makes this issue neat, I think. All the classic Punisher titles from the limited series were altered and changed in color by the publisher. Why they chose to do this, it's a little bit of a mystery, but pretty much everything else seems pretty similar. Now go back to the original American, and I'll show you why. You'll see how that title, that Punisher title, changed.
I'm gonna go to the Canadian just because it was a
okay. See how it was like a light blue with the yellow. They made it red.
Yeah, and I'm not sure.
Which I kind of like.
Yeah.
It fits Circle of Blood.
It's clean, and there's not a lot of other distraction up at the top.
And it also says para adultos, so it says that. Okay. So this one is going to be tough. Pretty much the early vid issues can be kind of tough to source. It took me about a year to find one for my own personal collection. But you might find yourself waiting, trying to find one of these editions. They're tough to find. Also, some of the other early vid titles from this time period are also tough to find. The one that kind of sticks out to me would be the Mexican G.I. Joe. That one is tough to find as well. Now, we've always wondered why these early vids were so hard to find. We were just like, what the fuck? So I finally spoke with some Mexican collectors, and I think I have a theory, John. Do you want to hear the theory?
Yeah, why not? We got some time to kill.
Okay.
We're not going anywhere.
So this is the theory as to why some of these early vid Marvels are so hard to find. So Novedades had the license for Marvel and DC, but they lost it. They lost the licenses for Marvel and DC in the late 80s, and those licenses transferred over to Grupo Editorial Vid. Now, Vid, up to this point, only published locally produced content, so they didn't license anything. So this was the first time as a publisher they were licensing non-indigenous content. So the theory goes that as a new publisher, they didn't quite have the confidence on handling it, so they changed the format of their books to digest size. Up before this time, they had normal sized comics, so that's weird already. Okay. Now we also think that there were lower print run numbers on the early titles, according to those people that I spoke to. Okay, so we got a different format size. We think that the print runs were small, and also when Vid got the licenses, they started putting out DC, which was not nearly as popular as Marvel. You know, Mexico is mainly a Marvel zombie country. They were doing DC first. So if you were a Marvel collector in Mexico, Novedades loses the license, right? And then you're waiting around, and then the people that have the license start producing DC material. You're going to have a problem with that, right? Because it's creating a break in the publishing of the Marvel material. So Vid, they took their time rolling out the Marvel titles. And so this created a break in publishing that we think fucked with the Mexican Marvel zombies. So we think it's kind of this classic case of a couple different things happening. Low print runs, low sales, and a new publisher handling a new license that kind of broke, that break in publishing also did some damage. So we think all of those things combined make these early vid books hard to find. This is one of those ones. You see any of these early vid Punishers, buy it. I don't even give a shit if it's in a bad condition. Buy it, because it's going to take you a while to find another.
All right. This one, the next one here, this is my favorite, and I think we've talked about. I seem to just like everything out of Italy. This one,
Italy. This is a really cool one. This is the Italian Panettone one, published by Edizione Star Comics in July of 1989. The interiors are a mix of black and white with full color. And this book does not contain the limited series guts. It has the classic Punisher 1 and 2 and some panels from 3. So the volume 2. So this has the classic, I always forget the guy that drew the volume 2, the artist. What was his name?
Oh, you're asking a question I'm not ready for.
Shit, I forget his name. But I liked his work on the volume 2 punny. But yeah, so it does not contain the guts. but it does have a kind of cardstock cover, like we know that Ediciones Star like to do from that time period, and it's kind of a funky format. If you look at this book, go to the set pick.
Yeah, it's off size. You can even tell when I try and keep the images the same size, and this one ran off funky.
Do you see all that white in the board on that? It's like a funky squat size. It's like squat. It's like,
yeah.
And so we lose some of our image on the top, but like you said, John, who doesn't like Italian leather? Who doesn't like Italian sports cars? Something about Italy and the Italians, they just have, like we were talking, just really good taste in what they do. And I think it shows with this cover for sure.
All right. Couple more to hit on.
Mm-hmm.
Poland. This is the first time I think we've talked about a Polish book.
It might, I don't remember, but yeah, this is Poland. This is Punisher 42, number 3-95, Euro hit, published by TM Semic Comics in May of 1995. The interiors are black and white, and it contains a slew of issues from the Volume 2 Punny Run. So another one that has a bunch of the Volume 2. Issues contained within are the Punisher issues 64 through 70. So a total of 6 chronological issues, and the printing quality is pretty decent. This is definitely a trade paperback. But if you're building this set, you got to have it. This is another one though where you see when the publishers crop this artwork, we always seem to lose the left hand and the left gun in Frank's hand. It seems to get cropped out. I do like how they so this one has, you can tell they altered the blast from the pistol.
Yeah.
They made it like red inside. I like that. And I like that little thing, 132. I think that might be pages. I don't know. I'm assuming, but so I like the trade dress. I love the nomenclature of this one. And we get an updated title. We get that Punisher title with the skull in there, which is definitely
interesting because it's almost looks Spider-Man-ish.
Kinda, huh? Almost like it was squeezed.
Yeah, it's very odd, just the coloring choice, but it looks good.
Yeah, I like this one. This is a cool one. And if you're building the set, you got to have it. As far as rarity and difficulty to source, I got lucky on this one, John. One of my buddies, I can't remember if it was Morton or Nadeem, somebody, one of our Scandinavian buddies got me this. And I really don't know a whole lot because I didn't have to go bust my ass to source it. So I couldn't tell you how difficult these are to find. My guess is it's because it's from 1995. There was definitely a decent amount printed and saved. The problem with Poland, it's not that the books are expensive on their back issue market. It's that a lot of the Polish people, it doesn't seem there's a whole lot of, at least from what I've been told and seen, there's not necessarily this big back issue market there. So it's almost like the back issue market is very immature. It's just, there's just not, I just don't, and maybe I'm wrong in that. But I've been told, it's hard to find books, even in Poland itself, finding books to buy. It's hard to find them to purchase them on the back issue market. And for sourcers trying to get into Poland, that can be a little rough too. People have complained about the difficulty of finding people in Poland to help us get stuff. Luckily, we have a friend now who can get stuff out of Poland. So I think, it really is an issue of knowing the right people on this book, I think, to find
Absolutely. It. So, well, I mean, it's all relationship building in this hobby.
Yep. In this book, you can't just go, you can't just go to Polish eBay like some Europe and just find one. You're gonna have to put in a little work, I think, or get lucky like I did.
Okay, next book is out of Germany.
German. This is The Punisher, number 2, published by Feast Comics, Epa Verlag, in March of 1993. This has full color interiors, and it's a soft cover, and it contains issues 3, 4, and 5 of the limited series. Also, the format of this book, in German, they call it Album, but it's more of a magazine size. So this is definitely a bigger book, and this is one that I don't own in my set, so I couldn't speak to what it feels like in hand. But it seems like just they just basically took the artwork, dropped it in, and
a real clean version.
It's a very clean version. I like the title. This is another one where it looks like they made the bullet blast brighter or something.
Yeah, they're just a little off.
Yeah, just a little off from the American. But I like it. I dig this one. I've already talked to my buddy Peter. Hopefully he's watching.
So you'll be getting this one soon, you hope.
Yes, Peter's gonna help me with this one.
All right.
He told me just say the word when you want it. I was like,
okay,
go Peter, go our German fans.
This one is this one threw me for a loop. So I'll let you talk about our friends in France.
Yeah, this one is kind of a weird one. This is the French one. This is the Punisher Cercle de Sang. I'm guessing that means circle of blood. 3 Les Jours du Massacre, number 19, published by Comics USA in April of 1989. The interiors are full color with a book binding and a hardbound book cover. So this is like a little book. The stories inside are Punisher limited issues 4 and 5, and this book is the third book to finish the short 3-book French Punny limited run. So what the French publisher did was they took the 5 issues and they somehow turned them into 3 different hard-bound books. And of course, the title's different. It's in French. But this is another one where it looks like they really washed out the artwork.
Yeah, it's not quite as gritty as the other one, but it's definitely got that vibe.
Yeah, it definitely has a kind of washed out vibe to it. And I mean, it's a cool book. I'm gonna have to. There's another one I don't have from my set, so I'm gonna have to figure out someone in France, or I'm sure I could find it on French eBay. I just haven't tried yet. But
so many books, you lose track, right?
And that's the thing. When you're building sets, you will focus on certain sets at a certain time for a while, and certain sets get love, and then they fall out of favor, and then it's rare that a set's ever completed, that you have everything that you know of. So, a lot of set builders in the game, they have multiple sets that they work on going all the time. And they just, this is going to be one for me. I gotta pull it out of France somehow.
All right. On to the last book in this hunt.
This is the Swedish Marvel's Universum 589, published by Satellite Förlaget in 1989. And Bjorn has told me how to say that. I'm horrible at that. Full color interiors. This issue contains 1 and 2 of the Punisher Limited series. Interestingly enough, the publisher cut out page 31 from the original Punny story to make room for a letters page, for a total of 64 pages, just like that Finnish one. This book is definitely more of a trade paperback than a comic. But let's talk why that letters page was important. The letter pages were introduced by the legendary Swede, Christian Hammarström, or as they call him in Sweden, Marvel Christian, is as he was known to the Swedish readers. This was pre-internet, and Marvel Zombies in Sweden needed to feel like they could communicate with the publisher and other fans. So those letter pages that he introduced stuck around until the internet finally made them obsolete. So they chose to take out just page 31 from the original Punny story, to just remove it and add a letters page, which, according to our buddy Bjorn, was very important for Swedish Marvel fans at the time, because they didn't have anything like it. And it stayed that way. So the letters pages were so popular that the publisher kept using them throughout, and it was a way for fans to communicate. And I think that's pretty cool, because that's something I think that American collectors take for granted. That we've always, Marvel and DC always had kids writing into them and communicating, and you had the Marvel, the different collector magazines, and What was in the 70s? You could be a member of the fan club. And what was that magazine that
Boom.
Boom. And you had all of these options to kind of get out your comic love with other people. And we have to remember that in a lot of these other foreign countries, they might not have had such a infrastructure for that kind of fan base. So kids in Sweden ate it up, you know. So that makes sense. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, and this cover is a lot like the other one we talked about, but it's not as ugly to me. I think it because they've got the banner there with the Marvel with the Spider-Man there. They just it's same coloring, but it's jazzed up a bit.
They definitely jazzed it up a bit, and the other one just kind of the Finnish one, I believe, the Tumari, it just looks kind of empty. Yeah, it's kind of empty right there.
So
up in the top,
an example of how to do things a little better than the other. Sometimes busier is better, I guess.
In a way, yeah. Little side note: I'm friends with Mike Zeck on Facebook, so I've brought the books that I have. I've brought them these to a show to show him. I should have sent you a picture of that. I wasn't thinking, man. I wasn't thinking. But Mike Zeck he's an amazing artist. I always loved his work. Like I said, in my comic store, I would bow down and worship this poster. What can you say? I mean, you're a punny fan and you like to build this set. You know, listen to Ghosty. He's going to tell you. Tell him, Ghosty. Tell him to build the limited one set. It's just awesome. Tell him.
He doesn't want to talk today. He says you should know better.
He's a little cranky today.
So I guess that's all we got today. We are working on a big boy show for you very soon. So we'll keep you posted as that gets closer. Just again, one more thanks to our friends at comicbookinvest.com. Go check them out while you're in the hiatus and looking for something to read or something to research and find some good content there. And are you guys still doing foreign comics calling?
We've been kind of on a hiatus a little bit, I think, but I would like to announce that we are planning a foreign comics calling and global comic safari roundtable show next week. We're setting that up. So that's going to be our next show. So you're going to get to see the beautiful mugs of Ken Worthing, Eric Miller, and Stephen Bagley. And Stephen Bagley, he's got that smooth, southern, charming voice. The ladies just love that voice.
Yeah, so we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, so they're going to make us look like shit, I'm sure. Maybe by then I'll have found some clippers. Maybe I'll be bald. I can share.
Can't get any worse, right? All right. Thank you, everyone. We look forward to seeing you again. If you haven't had a chance, please like and subscribe and shoot us some comments. Let us know what else you want to see, what other books you want us to run on. And thanks as always. We'll see you later.
Bye, guys.